Ash, if James Harden
Harden.
comes in and he's getting 30 and 10 a game, they still like James Harden is still not going to beat these teams at home by himself. This roster is pared down the way that it is to get these dudes, to appease these dudes. And now he doesn't show up and he's leaving Harden out to dry. Like everything that is happening is a conversation because of Kyrie. Sam, am I bugging? Like, have you noticed this phenomenon where everything else is poisoned to basically take the blame off this kid?
This goes no. You both of you guys are 100% right, and this goes back to what we first originally said in October when this stuff was going down, which is that when you have, and this is when we didn't think Kyrie was ever coming back, and we were talking about trading him. When you have three guys on the roster who make max money, your margin for error on all the other moves is small, but you kind of live with it, and you're fine going with a lot of vet minimum guys and like use an MLE here and an MLE there and use a couple rookies here and there because you're figuring I have three of the top 11 or 10 or 9 players in basketball, but they made the team. They specifically made this team. The reason why the team looks so bad when there's just two of them, or just one of them, is not because it's not solely because James Harden like hasn't looked great or whatever. It doesn't look good because the guys on this team and who they were able to acquire was limited based off the amount of freaking money they put towards these three guys. And so when one guy decides that he's not going to be there, all it does is you have a freaking gaping hole. And now that he decides to come back a little under halfway through the season, have this.
To be fair, he didn't decide; they let him back.
Right. Yeah. And then we have this guy who's allowed back. Now you have this in and out star. And look, I just go back to this. When I speak to people who aren't Nets fans, they literally say to me, they're like, dude, what the fuck is going on with your team?
Exactly. Only Nets fans have this disease.
Every Nets fan thinks it's like status quo to have a part-time player. It's like, are you guys out of your fucking mind? Have you guys heard yeah, you know what? I remember watching all those Colts games where Peyton Manning only played on the road. Like, what are we talking about here? It's like this is psychotic shit. Like I was losing my mind in the spaces. As you can tell, I'm losing it now. It's like, you know what? I can't go watch Jacob deGrom pitch at Citi Field, but I can go watch him pitch at Citizens Bank in Philadelphia. It's like this is not how a normal team operates. Like,
right.
and Sam, to your point, I was that guy, and this is a problem with Nets Twitters. People can't just admit they were wrong. I argued with you. Let him back. Let him play. Let them figure it out. Hopefully he comes back and he feels better. So I'm that guy that didn't understand that bringing this guy back and giving him special treatment had circumstances that I could not foresee, at least me. And I think probably, Sam, you probably did. It's not good.
Matt, you argued with me.
Yeah.
You argued with me. And I think you do the same thing that other people do, which is the wrong thing, is they start to look at the political side of it. It's not the political side. Like people say, "Oh, I don't want to talk politics." It's not about politics anymore. It's when I was saying it to you, I always say it the same exact way, so I'm gonna be repeating myself for the 100th time with the same boring line, but I have to use it. If 19 out of 20 dudes in a room decide to say, fuck it, okay, I'm going to do this, right? And one dude doesn't do it, if you go back and let that one dude get off, it's just human nature that it's going to have a chain reaction in the locker room. Like, I don't understand why that's like such a hard concept, Matt. Like, what's wrong with these dudes? Like, if you could change, you were on the other side of this, but the results show that this didn't work. They had the right answer before.
So I can look at I can look at this back onto my own playing days at the Division 3 level as a sophomore, coming off a terrible season. We recruited a brash asshole that should not have been playing at the Division 3 level, and he got special treatment. And even though our team was more talented, a lot of us felt some type of way. Hey, I'm running these suicides. He's not. Why? And so James Harden is thinking, I'm playing home against the Nuggets where nobody else is. Why am I? So even though my initial reaction was just get Kyrie back on the floor, why can't certain people just say, you know what? I was wrong, because you know what? So was I.
But know what, Ben? It goes beyond. It goes beyond, because we're taking this conversation right now from a from a December or January on standpoint. But this should start in October, and this is more about the fact that they had a guy on the team, as Eve was alluding to with his analogy, of a guy who saw 19 of his 20 teammates do something, and he decided not to. So like basically this saga was already wrote when they decided to let him back in, which is why whoever was right or wrong between you and I about like bringing him back or not, I think we don't even know who was right one way or another, and it's kind of irrelevant, because the truth is that it got to this place, and people like us were ridiculed for the idea of thinking about trading him, when like this is why it was leading towards a breaking point that is just not like sustainable. Like you end and you have to always go down, and this is like something I use in politics or things with friends or whatever. A lot of times you just got to go down to the most common denominator, and like this Kyrie thing, it's like you want to, like as you said, you want to say that something in Cleveland happened and it was really LeBron's fault, and in Boston it was really like the mixture of players, and now he's in Brooklyn, and you want to say that, in all these places he lost faith with the medical staffs, whatever it is. All I know is everywhere that he goes, it's legitimately catastrophe, and you can like fucking slice and dice everything all you want, and put yourself into a million different what was the analogy Eve used, like somersaults, acrobats, whatever you want. Like this is just a situation that we all know. Every single one of us knows that if he got the jab in October or even November or even at Christmas, right, everything right now would be way, way different. And it's why, and it's the last thing I'll say, Eve, you go, is it's why I have such a humongous issue with every Nets fan saying, you know what, like Harden dogged it, he's out, and if we trade for Harden, then we're going to get all this depth, and we're going to get Ben Simmons who fits really well. It's like maybe that's true. Like maybe that is true. But all I know is that for every home game, it's still going to be KD and Ben Simmons and Seth Curry. It's still not going to have Kyrie Irving. So that's why I'm like, what is this fixation on getting rid of Harden when we still have this cloud here the entire time?
No, it's Sam. Look, I'm not some political operator. I'm not. I'm a fucking legacy in this shit, and I'm not even as good at it as my father. Like my father was, super political guy, and he ran for election and won. This is how sick this is how bad the sickness is in the Nets, in the fan base, or the fan base that follows this side. A story came out, was going around Twitter, that when the new mayor came in, he would change the mandate. So happens, I know the new mayor. I, like a dickhead, go ask. The first time I get to see the mayor after he wins the election, go ask him. I posted a picture with him of, you know what I'm saying, an obviously recent picture where he came and thanked all of his donors. I took my chance to talk to him and said, dude, are you going to change the mandate? Because I'm an idiot Nets fan. And he told me no. Not necessarily no, but he gave me a I got a lot going on in the city type of response. Like I have a lot to be worried about. This clown ass question you just asked me, dickhead. Is stupid. But regardless, the Nets fan base heard that shit, and this cult of Kyrie is so penetrating to the mind that they didn't go, okay, a Nets fan was with the mayor the other day and asked him. Let's not believe that guy. That guy is crazy. Then it comes out on the second drop would be when it goes out on fucking CNN when the mayor gets interviewed and they ask him, hey, Kyrie Irving's on not playing. Would you change the mandate for him to play? He looked in the camera and said no. He got to work that out with the NBA. And knowing full well he's not changing the mandate. And 50% of the fan base heard that and said, does that mean we got a chance? What the fuck is wrong with us, Matt?
Nothing. There's nothing wrong with us. We're the smart ones. We're the smart ones. And it's just like, I text you guys today. I sent a voice memo like, are we really about to trade James Harden? We traded Karis LeVert for James Harden, and Karis LeVert today was salary dumped. The Pacers got nothing back for him. They dumped him.
Basically,
they got a injured player, a lottery protected first round pick, and second round picks. We would be devastated if a year from now the Nets made that trade. We would say, oh, they're clearly just trying to avoid the luxury tax.
Yeah.
And
we've so pissed off this dude who, come on, man, like with everything that everyone is saying, that dude was an animal last year and he wanted to win. Yes, he's off, but I think remember, it took Chris Paul like 2 years to get back right from that injury. The guy we saw last year wasn't the Chris Paul of the previous 2 years. So maybe he might come back. I know I'm the rosy side of things with Harden, but you can't say that dude didn't want to win last year. And how do you now turn and start calling him a bitch? Not even like, oh, it's fucked up, he wants to leave. They're calling him a bitch and a coward, Sam. How did we get here?
Yeah, I think there's some weird psychology with this whole Kyrie thing where because he's not there half the time, you can't like actually extract the negative of him not being there and what's going on in the locker room versus like Harden. We can see night in, night out, he hasn't been the same guy. So we have more like data points per se to say like, oh yeah, he's gotten worse. But the Kyrie thing is just this like bizarre abstract element. And look, I mean, let's call a spade a spade. There's a ton of Nets fans who I don't even think are necessarily anti-vax at all or anything, but basically feel bad for Kyrie. Like they're basically like, New York City instituted this mandate. It's super unfair because unvaccinated NBA players can come in and he and Kyrie, because he's a resident, can't. And like the truth is, whether you think it's fair or not fair, it all goes back to like to what you said, which is that like 19 out of 20 of your teammates all did it. 98% of the NBA is vaccinated. This isn't a New York City problem. Like this is Andrew Wiggins wasn't going to be able to play in San Francisco. He got the vaccination. This is about a city that got absolutely annihilated by COVID and continued to. And there's a reason why they put in the most stringent regulations and codes out of everyone else. And you know what? I hate to break it to everybody, but most laws and most regulations and most codes, they have some issues. There's usually some hypocrisy. There's usually some contradictions. That's usually how this stuff goes. And the idea that Eric Adams' primary concern is when Kyrie Irving can get back on the basketball court and that the mayor is going to make an exemption for a guy making $37 million a year to not get vaccinated when his entire police department and fire department and healthcare workers and municipal workers and trash
He's not going to change the law for them, but he's going to change the law for